Mile markers exist to help rangers navigate backcountry roads. They're numbered sequentially, predictable, safe. Except for mile marker 18, the marker that appears in 3 different locations depending on time of day. The marker where ranger vehicles stall out for exactly 90 seconds. The marker where every radio on every frequency picks up the same transmission. Turn back, they're counting. Rangers don't patrol beyond mile marker 18. Not because they're forbidden. Because the ones who do come back counting. Compulsively, constantly, forever. Rangers don't talk about what happens after mile marker 18. They don't document it in official reports. They don't even acknowledge the marker's existence during briefings. But every ranger knows. Every ranger who works backcountry roads learns the same unspoken rule. When you see mile marker 18, your patrol ends. Turn around, drive back, don't ask questions. Because no matter the district, no matter the forest, no matter how many years separate the incidents, the pattern is always the same. Mile marker 18 moves. Rangers who pass it experience vehicle malfunctions that last exactly 90 seconds. And rangers who continue beyond it return changed, unable to stop counting everything they see. Steps, breaths, heartbeats, trees. Counting until their voices fail. Counting until they can't remember their own names. Counting until the numbers are all they have left. Tonight we follow 3 ranger accounts, each describing what lies beyond mile marker 18, each ending with the same compulsive behavior, and each revealing that the marker isn't a location. It's a warning. And whatever exists past mile marker 18 wants you to count. Because when you start counting, you become part of the sequence. The first account comes from Ranger Daniel Cross, an 8-year veteran working the western district of a mountainous region known for its narrow fire roads and steep elevation changes. Cross was a practical ranger, the kind who trusted mileage logs over instinct, maintained strict schedules, and believed that backcountry roads were just roads in inconvenient places. On March 12, 2018, Cross was assigned to patrol Fire Road 7, a 23-mile stretch of dirt access road used primarily for fire suppression equipment positioning. Standard patrol, routine documentation, nothing unusual. At 9:47 a.m., Cross reached mile marker 18. He noted it in his log. MM 18947, marker intact, road clear. He continued driving. 50 yards past the marker, his truck engine died. Not sputtered, not coughed, just stopped, as if someone had turned a switch. Cross-checked the ignition. On. Fuel gauge, 3/4 full. Battery indicator, normal. The engine was simply off. He turned the key. Click. No ignition, no turnover. He felt that first quiet flutter of unease, the kind that comes before the body admits something's wrong. He checked his watch, 9:48 a.m. He tried the radio, dead static. Phone, no signal. Cross sat in the silent truck, hands on the wheel, listening to his own breathing. That's when he heard it. A voice, faint, coming from somewhere outside. Not calling, not shouting. Counting. 47, 48, 49. Male voice, monotone, methodical. Cross opened his door slowly. The counting stopped. Forest silence pressed in, that particular quiet where even insects seemed to be holding their breath. He stepped out of the truck, boots crunching on gravel. Nothing, no one visible, just road and trees and the mile marker behind him. He checked his watch, 9:49 a.m. 90 seconds since the engine died. He turned back toward the truck, and the engine started. By itself. idling normally. Key still in the off position. Cross's throat tightened. His hands started shaking, not from cold, but from the way his body was trying to tell him something fundamental had just broken in how engines work. He climbed back in, turned the key to the on position. The engine continued running smoothly. He put the truck in reverse, turned around, and drove back past mile marker 18 without looking at it. At the station, he filed a standard mechanical issue report. Temporary engine failure, resolved spontaneously. He didn't mention the counting voice. He didn't mention the engine starting on its own. He told himself it was electrical, a short, a fluke. But that night, Cross couldn't sleep. Because he kept counting. Counting ceiling tiles. 1, 2, 3, 4. Counting breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Counting heartbeats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He told himself it was stress, insomnia, anxiety. By morning, he'd stopped. But the compulsion returned every time he closed his eyes. The second account is darker, more invasive, more documented, and it involves a ranger who made the mistake of driving 5 miles past mile marker 18. This is the story of Ranger Sarah Okonquo, who joined the Northern District in 2019 after transferring from a flat-terrain forest where the hardest part of patrol was boredom. Okonquo was meticulous, thorough, the kind of ranger who photographed every marker, logged every 10th mile, and never cut corners on documentation. On August 3, 2020, Okonquo was assigned to verify the full length of Fire Road 14, a patrol that extended beyond most rangers' usual routes. Fire Road 14 had mile markers 1 through 23, but rangers only patrolled to mile marker 17. When Okonquo asked why during her briefing, her supervisor, a woman named Patricia Vance, gave her a flat look. Because that's the road. The road continues to mile marker 23. Okonquo pressed, "Why don't we patrol it?" Vance closed the route folder. Mile marker 18 is the turnaround point. Always has been. But why? Ranger Okonquo, Vance's voice was sharp. You patrol to mile marker 17. Then you turn around. That's the route. That's the protocol. Okonquo nodded. But protocols without explanations bothered her. At 2:34 p.m., Okonquo reached mile marker 17. She logged it, photographed it, turned her vehicle around. But as she began to reverse, she saw mile marker 18, 50 yards ahead. She stopped. That was wrong. Mile marker 18 should be a full mile from mile marker 17. That's how mile markers work. She checked her odometer. She traveled exactly 1 mile from mile marker 16 to mile marker 17. But mile marker 18 was visible, right there, less than 100 yards away. Okonquo's chest tightened, professional curiosity battling with instinctive unease. She put the vehicle in drive, rolled forward slowly. The marker didn't get closer. She drove 50 yards. The marker remained 50 yards ahead. She drove another 100 yards, still 50 yards ahead. Her hands began to tremble on the wheel, not from fear yet, but from the way distance had stopped making sense. The way forward had stopped meaning closer. She stopped the vehicle, put it in park. Mile marker 18 stood exactly 50 yards ahead. She pulled out her rangefinder, aimed it at the marker. The display read 47 yards. She drove forward 10 yards. Rangefinder 47 yards. Forward another 20 yards. Rangefinder 47 yards. Okonquo's pulse spiked, that primal alarm that something had shifted from strange to dangerous. She turned her vehicle around sharply, and mile marker 18 was behind her now. 47 yards behind. She checked her odometer. She'd traveled 0.3 miles forward, but the marker had somehow moved behind her without her passing it. Her radio crackled. Static, then a voice, calm, male, emotionless. Turn back. They're counting. Okonquo grabbed the mic. Who is this? Identify yourself. Turn back. They're counting. What's your location? Turn back. They're counting. The same phrase, the same tone, like a recording. Okonquo's throat went dry. She reached for her phone. No signal. She looked in her rearview mirror. Mile marker 18 was closer. Not 47 yards. 30 yards. She hadn't moved. Her truck was in park. But the marker was approaching. She slammed the vehicle into drive and floored it. Her truck lurched forward, and the engine died. Okonquo's breath caught. Her hands locked on the wheel. She checked her watch. 3:17 p.m. In the silence, she heard it. Counting. Multiple voices. Overlapping. Different tones. All counting in unison. 64. 65. 66. The voices were coming from the forest. From both sides of the road. Dozens of voices, all counting the same numbers. Okonquo's vision tunneled. Her peripheral vision went gray, that first stage of panic where the body tries to shut down everything except escape. She turned the key. Nothing. The counting continued. 71, 72, 73. She grabbed her door handle. She'd run. The voices stopped. Complete silence. Then, simultaneously, all the voices whispered, 90. Okonquo's engine started. She didn't question it. She drove. Fast, too fast for the narrow road, throwing gravel, fishtailing on curves. She didn't stop until she reached mile marker 5. Only then did she check her rearview mirror. The road behind her was empty, but her odometer showed she'd traveled 18 miles. She'd been at mile marker 17. Mile marker 5 was 12 miles back, but she'd driven 18 miles. At the station, Vance was waiting outside. She didn't look surprised. You went past mile marker 18, Vance said quietly. How did you know? Because you came back. Okonquo stared at her. What does that mean? Vance gestured to the station. Come inside. Inside, Vance pulled a file from a locked cabinet, thick, old, held together with string. She opened it. Page after page of incident reports. Dozens of them, dating back to 1987. All describing the same phenomenon. Mile marker 18 appearing in impossible locations. Vehicles stalling for 90 seconds. Voices counting. What is it? Okonquo whispered. We don't know, Vance said, but we know what it does to rangers who go past it and stay longer than 90 seconds. She turned to the back of the file. Medical reports, psychological evaluations, discharge paperwork. All for rangers who'd patrolled past mile marker 18. All diagnosed with the same compulsion, persistent counting behavior, unable to suppress, interferes with all daily functioning. Okonquo felt her stomach drop. They can't stop counting? They count everything, Vance said. Steps, words, breaths, heartbeats. One ranger counted for 16 hours straight until he collapsed from exhaustion. Another counted in his sleep. His partner said he counted for 3 days without stopping. Without eating, without drinking, just counting. What happens to them? Vance closed the file. Most retire. Some can manage it, keep it under control, but they're never the same. They're always counting something, always keeping track, like part of their brain was rewired. Why? Okonquo asked. Why counting? Vance shook her head. We don't know, but every ranger who's driven past mile marker 18 describes hearing voices counting in the forest. And every ranger who hears those voices starts counting themselves. That night, Okonquo went home. She made dinner, spaghetti. As she stirred the sauce, she found herself counting the rotations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She forced herself to stop. But when she poured the pasta, she counted the pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. She couldn't stop. When she lay in bed, she counted the seconds until sleep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She never made it past 90. The third account is the most disturbing, because it doesn't come from a ranger who drove past mile marker 18. It comes from a ranger who found what lies exactly 5 miles beyond it. This is the story of Ranger Marcus Webb, who worked the Southern District for 19 years and made the mistake of believing that mysteries were meant to be solved. Webb was a veteran, the kind who'd seen everything: wildfires, rescues, wildlife encounters, missing hikers. He didn't believe in superstition, he believed in evidence. When he heard younger rangers whispering about mile marker 18, he did what any rational person would do. He researched it. He pulled every incident report mentioning the marker, cross-referenced dates, interviewed retired rangers who'd worked the district in the 80s and 90s. What he found disturbed him. Mile marker 18 had been causing issues since at least 1973. That was the first documented report of a vehicle stalling at that exact marker for exactly 90 seconds. But the counting behavior that started later. The first reported case of compulsive counting was in 1991. Ranger Thomas Whitmore drove 3 miles past mile marker 18, returned counting, never stopped. He was institutionalized in 1994. Still counting. Webb tracked down Whitmore's medical records through a FOIA request. In 2003, 12 years after his initial exposure, Whitmore had been interviewed by a psychiatrist specializing in obsessive-compulsive disorders. The transcript was chilling. Psychiatrist, can you tell me why you count? Whitmore, because they need to know. Psychiatrist, who needs to know? Whitmore, the ones past the marker. They're counting too. They need us to keep count. They need us to remember the sequence. Psychiatrist, what sequence? Whitmore, the sequence of everything. Every step, every breath, every moment. They're counting everything that happens. And when we count, we help them. We're part of the equation. Psychiatrist, what equation? Whitmore, counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Psychiatrist, Thomas, please answer the question. Whitmore, still counting, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. The interview ended there. Whitmore never stopped counting long enough to answer another question. Webb read the transcript 3 times. Then he made a decision. On November 7, 2021, Webb drove Fire Road 14. Alone, no backup, no authorization. He carried recording equipment, 3 GPS units, emergency supplies, and a firearm, though he didn't know what he'd use it against. At 11:23 a.m., he passed mile marker 18. His engine didn't stall. His radio worked normally. He heard no voices. He continued driving. Mile markers 19, 20, 21 passed normally. At mile marker 22, the road changed. Not structurally. Not visibly. But Webb felt it. The way the air thickened. The way his ears popped as if pressure had shifted. The way his hands started trembling on the wheel without any conscious fear. Mile marker 23 appeared ahead. But something was wrong with it. The marker wasn't a single post. It was dozens of posts. all with 23 painted on them, all arranged in a perfect circle around a clearing. Webb stopped his truck. His breath came short and fast, that hyperventilation that comes before the body admits it's terrified. He grabbed his radio. "Base, this is Webb. I'm at mile marker 23, requesting immediate backup." Static. Then, "Turn back. They're counting." "Who is this?" "Turn back. They're counting." Webb turned off the radio. He stepped out of his truck. The circle of markers stood 30 feet in diameter, all identical, all freshly painted, all showing 23, and in the center of the circle, people. 17 people. All wearing ranger uniforms from different decades, all standing perfectly still, all staring at him. Webb's legs wouldn't move. His body had locked up, some primal response recognizing that movement meant engagement, that drawing attention meant danger. One of the figures stepped forward. Male, 50s, uniform from the early 90s. "Thomas Whitmore?" Webb whispered. The figure smiled. "You came to count with us." Webb's throat closed. "I came to understand what's happening here." "Understanding is counting," Whitmore said. "Everything can be counted. Every moment. Every breath. Every decision. We count it all. We've been counting for years. Decades. We're part of the sequence now." The other figures began moving. Not walking. Rotating. All of them moving in a perfect circle, maintaining exact spacing. And as they moved, they counted. In unison. 1, 2, 3, 4. Webb stumbled backward, his vision tunneled, peripheral gray closing in. "You're at mile marker 23, Whitmore said. "Do you know what that means?" Webb shook his head. "It means you traveled 5 miles past mile marker 18. Do you know how many steps that is? How many heartbeats? How many seconds?" "I don't." 11,347 steps, Whitmore said. 18,623 heartbeats. 14,900 seconds. "We know. We've been counting. We count everything now." The circle of rangers moved faster. Their voices rose. 5, 6, 7, 8. "What are you counting?" Webb demanded, voice cracking. "Everything that brought you here," Whitmore said. "Every choice. Every mile. Every second. We're counting your life. And when we finish counting, when we reach the number that equals you, you'll join us. You'll help us count the next one." Webb ran. He didn't remember getting in his truck, didn't remember turning it around. But he drove. He drove past mile marker 22, 21, 20, 19. When he reached mile marker 18, his engine stalled. He checked his watch through blurred vision, hands shaking so badly he could barely read it. 12:44 p.m. 90 seconds. That's how long he'd have to sit here, listening to his own ragged breathing, feeling his heart slam against his ribs. 30 seconds in, he heard them. The voices, in the forest, counting. But this time he recognized one of the voices. It was his own, counting with them. 47, 48, 49. The words weren't coming from his mouth, but it was his voice, his exact voice, counting with the others in perfect rhythm. At 90 seconds, his engine started. He drove straight back to the station. He filed no report. He requested immediate leave. 2 weeks later, he retired. But rangers who knew him say he's never the same. He counts constantly. Steps. Words, seconds between breaths. And late at night, when he thinks no one can hear, he counts miles. Always stopping at 18. Then starting over. Today, Fire Road 14 is patrolled only to mile marker 17. The official explanation, seasonal road closure beyond MM17 due to erosion risk. But rangers know. They know about the voices counting in the forest. They know about the 90-second engine failures that happen at mile marker 18. They know about rangers who've never stopped counting. And they know about the 17 rangers standing in a circle at mile marker 23, still counting, still adding to the sequence, still waiting for someone to count with them. Some rangers believe it's a psychological phenomenon, a form of contagion, where exposure to the compulsive counting of one person triggers it in others. Some believe it's something older, something that's been counting since before humans walked these forests, something that needs us to count with it, to keep track, to remember the sequence of everything. And some believe the counting isn't random, that every number means something, that the sequence is building towards something, that when the count reaches a specific number, a number no one knows yet, something will happen. Something that's been waiting since the first ranger started counting in 1991. Something that needs us to count our way to it. One step at a time. One breath at a time. 1 mile at a time. Until we reach 18. And realize we can't stop. If you ever patrol a backcountry road and see mile marker 18, don't stop to photograph it. Don't question why it appears in 3 different locations. Don't drive past it, no matter how curious you are about what lies beyond. Because some markers don't measure distance. They measure how far you're willing to go before you become part of the equation. And the rangers past mile marker 18 have been counting. For years. For decades. Waiting for the sequence to complete. Waiting for the count to reach whatever number means they can finally stop. But until then, they'll keep counting. And if you pass mile marker 18, you'll count with them. 1, 2, 3, forever.